we've allowed Dr. Oga a little more time than everybody else because that's really the essence of why we're here. I now would like to reject the program just a little to accommodate people who need to leave. So I know that the Vice President of the Kenya Editors Guild needs to speak next, but I'm going to reject that so that if Mr. Maina just allows me, I'm going to ask another Maina to speak in his place. This is my colleague, a longtime friend, and now my boss, Chair of the Media Council of Kenya, Maina Muiruri. As Maina Muiruri comes, and I tell you all these nice stories about our exploits in the newsroom together, is an important player in discussion for two reasons. One, they regulate the media space, but also Honorable Justice Ouko, you must know that the Media Council also houses a tribunal. And as we know from the Constitution of Kenya 2010, all tribunals are under the judiciary. So I think, Maina, I hope that intimidates you sufficiently so that you can take only 3 or 4 minutes to make your remarks.
Thank you very much, Chetsi. My name is Maina Muiruri. I'm the chairman of the Kenya. I acknowledge the presence of the president of the Appeal Court, Justice William Ouko, executives of the USAID, executives of Kenya Editors Guild, who have done a great work at this, and other supporters of this project. And I bring my humble greetings from the Media Council of Kenya. Before I'll keep it short, but allow me to do this correction. It's not a tribunal at the Media Council of Kenya. It's a complaints commission. We are not at the level of tribunal. It's under constitution now. Its time had lapsed. Right now, it's being reconstituted. And we hope it will do a lot of work. I'll not read a speech. When we were journalists, we used to fear long speeches. I'll keep it short and just glance at my notes. I was an editor for long. At one time, Kwamketi was my boss. He was my editor. Other standard, an editor at the People Daily. I was the managing editor at the People Daily. Dr. Nyakundi Nyamboga, I used to dispatch him to the court to go. As an editor, I'll tell you that the court docket is an important constant, very important. Though you do not see a lot of it making the headlines, being a very political country, it's a very important docket. All editors will tell you what has been done today through the publishing of these guidelines has been long overdue. It's been long awaited. There are no court reporters who come to the newsroom and we know these are court reporters. Outing for an intern is courts. My first outing was courts to cover Koigi Wamwere. That tells you I'm older than Komchetsi. You grow through the courts. Rarely do you get people who come and grasp it like Dr. Nyakundi Nyaboga, who come and become the expert. And through such people, they've elevated court reporting to a high docket in the newsroom. Despite it being the training ground for most journalists starting on this job, it's very crucial that it's perfected to become one of the leading brands in accuracy and balance required in court reporting is crucial for just as for other fields in journalism. However, when you sit as an editor, you realize that we know what happens in courts, but we do not know enough on how to cover the courts. And the media is many times just like a conveyor belt of what happens in courts. Sometimes readers read a story and they do not know what the reporter is saying. Until we got people like Dr. Nyakundi, who brought into courts equal serious analysis like happens in politics. So that when you read it at the weekend, you can know, oh, this is exactly what the judgment meant. Apart from just being brought to court and being accused, it has increasingly now become a respected field that today, with the launch of these guidelines, we must always act responsibly as editors and reporters in respecting court reporting. I'd like to say that this launch of these guidelines is coming at a critical, crucial time. Has become freed, Kenyan media has become freed to completely and freely cover courts, and especially now corruption cases. In our time, you did not just cover what came to court. There are stories we brought to the newsroom and the editor pushed it slowly away. Not that it's not factual, but the times have changed. Media is now free, independent. Media now can cover, I do not know anything Kenyan media cannot cover. Indeed, now all we need is the guidelines. Even as you are so free to cover courts, this is the way it should be done. I'm glad to hear that Dr. Nyakundi has brought from a code of conduct for the practice of journalism in Kenya. In that, it is entrenched in the act. Part of it, like 10 bullet points, just dwell on coverage of courts. You'll be surprised that however elite some journalists may look, they do not know that you are not supposed to interpret evidence before it's tabled by a witness. It happened last week in a very dangerous way. But Justice Oko, these days courts do not summon editors and journalists. Times were when we used to be summoned. At one time in the newsroom, I want to cut this short, just acknowledging why these guidelines are so important. At one time in the newsroom, an editor dissected the judiciary with a headline, "Judicial Tyranny." Someone was nearly jailed. Maybe only Komchetsi could remember that. Another time, during the Oko Commission of Inquiry, a commission is just like a court. Oko was reported to have been summoned to State House. The editor decided to interpret it like Moi summoned Oko. Later, we learned that State House is not Moi. The editor was summoned. Summoning Oko to State House does not mean Moi summoned him. As a editor lost his job. Maybe these guidelines by Dr. Nyakundi now, editors will know how to cover courts, how to dissect court material, what to go into, what to avoid, and what to do with all the freedom we've got. And finally, we are working with the judiciary to try to tame a problem that we cannot cover up. Quack journalists covering courts, and not just courts, everywhere. What we are telling all departments of government is the Media Council of Kenya accreditation card is now foolproof. Do not allow journalists to cover such important functions without you asking them identify. So simple. And that card bears an identification. It's digital now. You can check and actually see, yes, these are journalists. We are having lawyers complaining. Parliament has now perfected it. No journalist without Media Council accreditation can enter Parliament. It should also be the same with the courts so that the complaints come down. Thank you very much, Pamchetsi. And these guidelines, Dr. Nyakundi, we are very grateful. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Maina. I would like to thank all of